Sound of Music is a show that I absolutely adore and have since I was a very little girl. And when I started directing, I always had it in the back of my mind that The Sound of Music is something that I'd really like to do one day. And I thought that I felt comfortable as a director to tackle the challenge. And I put it to committee 2 years ago now. No, it was actually less than 2 years ago. It was about a year ago. And said to them, look, I think the family show next year, we should do The Sound of Music. And I had a little bit of opposition, nothing too major, but just a little bit of, oh, not sure, you know, we're not really a musical theatre company and all of those things. And I sort of said, well, no, I think we can do it. I can certainly do it. It could be done on a smaller scale. We don't need the huge stage. If I get the right people, the right tech and production team, we can do this. And a few of them were sort of like, oh yes, okay, no, Debbie's passionate about this, let's go with it. And the others all sort of came on side. So sort of 12 months ago, and then that's when I started headhunting. I really knew that I had to have excellence in my musical directors, and I wanted Danny and Rhonda, because I just love them both and love working with them, and they're both so talented, and I just knew the two of them together would be great.
Debbie has always wanted to do this show. It's her absolute favourite show of all time. And so first of all, we saw her in committee meetings trying to talk the committee into doing it, didn't we?
And I must confess that even though I was on committee and a big fan of the show as well, I probably played devil's advocate quite a lot, saying all the reasons why we couldn't do it in terms of orchestrations, the size of the show, but she had a pretty strong argument in the end and wore me down, and I gave in. So, and you know, the proof has been in the pudding that we can put it on here.
And I had been told by a previous musical director that there is a 2-piano keyboard score, so you don't necessarily need an orchestra. Had you just needed an orchestra, perhaps you would only need one musical director, but because we were doing the 2-piano score, I thought, well, what better than to have two wonderful musicians playing and MDing. So got Danny and Rhonda on board straight away.
Unfortunately, we don't have the space for an orchestra, because that would have been our first choice, and particularly with the cast that we have, they're so strong, and it was a shame that we couldn't provide an orchestra for them. So the next best thing was a 2-keyboard version, which we hired instead. And yeah, we just did a little bit of fiddling with the orchestration to make it sound as good as we can.
Yeah, that's probably the thing that clinched it for me in the end. The fact that we could do it here was the fact that there is actually an arrangement available written for 2 pianos, which would have been written long before there were keyboards. So we've been able to fiddle with sounds and use organs and harp and things like that, which it wasn't originally written for. This is the 6th family show I've done that Debbie's actually directed, and she's just fantastic working with kids. She's just so positive all the time and just got so much energy, and she's very loud in the foyer at the moment as well. And that passion spills out to the foyer.
Yeah.
But no, she's fantastic to work with, because she is always so passionate about her projects and puts everything into it. And when it comes to The Sound of Music, because it's just a lifelong dream, it's just been... We're just so happy for her that it's turned out the way it has.
Yep.
I have confidence that put me to the test, but I'll make them see I have confidence in me. Somehow I will impress them. I will be firm but kind, and all the children, heaven bless them, they will look out to me, and I be with me, that's for certain.
With Debbie and Danny and Rhonda, they can take the actor, actor-musician, and the actor-musician can completely trust them to mould them into their vision, to what they want for that character. And I always make sure that I am compliant with anything. I mean, they would always say to me, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think? How do you think you should sing? Blah blah. And of course, I would offer suggestions, but I would always confer with them, like, what do you want? Would you like me to be quieter there? Would you like me to be more robust?
Pretend it's not there, but I don't want to move at the moment. So go to where you start the bows.
Knew I wanted Camilla for my choreographer. Absolutely fantastic, love her work, and spoke to her. She was on board without a moment's hesitation. Camilla is an absolute gem. As I said, I have worked with her many times before. She hasn't actually choreographed in a show that I've directed before, but I've worked in shows that she has choreographed, and she has an immense amount of patience, which is very important for a choreographer. You see a lot of choreographers who are very moody and very temperamental, and that doesn't always work. That often gets people offside and they get a bit, because a lot of people find dancing hard. A lot of people are natural dancers, born dancers, and are trained dancers, but you get a lot of people who do stage shows that need a lot of tender loving care and a little bit of guidance. Camilla, I knew, could do all of that because she has an absolutely amazing patience. She's very, very creatively wonderful and comes up with some brilliant and clever dances. And I knew that we would get the very best out of our children and our performers, but I also knew that she would be patient.
The children were great. You know, I haven't worked with children in a long time. I used to teach dancing, and I would often go home and roll my eyes and think, God. But these children have just been brilliant. Each of them has worked so hard. They have listened, they have practiced at home, and they have been a pleasure. In fact, I might even say I think they're easier to work with than adults.
Just watching her work with the children is beautiful. Once again, I didn't have to tell her what I wanted. She just knew to let's make a little bit of a mix of what the audience would expect, what they've seen, because the show is so well known. The audience know the choreography that's in the movie. They know what they've seen on the stage and before. So she used a lot of that original choreography that people expect to see, but she put her own little originality touches in it as well. So you have choreography that's refreshing and new, yet what the audience know and expect is going to be there. And she's just a delight.
Because you've got people who are lovely, genuine, passionate people, and you've got people who know what they're doing. And with Debbie, it all comes together as one. And that, for the cast, is a brilliant thing, but for Danny and Rhonda and myself and the rest of the crew, that is just such a privilege to work with that, and it makes our lives so much easier and makes it just the most wonderful experience. And kids, in the bows, when you do the bows, don't forget that step at the end.
Now, my name is Baron Von Trapp, and you are Fräulein?
Maria Rena.
Right, Fräulein Maria. As to your duties here, and
Okay, how it came to be that I designed the set was that Debbie came and asked me probably, I think, halfway through or beginning of last year. It was when I think she knew she got the red light to go ahead and do it. And yeah, she asked me and I just said automatically yes. Yeah, that I'd love to do it.
Well, I basically had a chat to her when I first said, would you be set designer? And once again, no hesitation from her. Everybody was really keen to be on board for this. And she said that she's not a big musical fan, but she loves the sound of music.
When Debbie and I discussed it, she sort of pretty much gave me an open slather with it really, which was fantastic. She very much trusted me to do, pretty much sort of do that, incorporate it with not a whole lot of input from her, but I think she just let me go, and I came up with the design of having, you know, 3 separate areas. It was basically to try and incorporate, you know, a lot of things on a very small stage, as you can see, a really small space, so that it works quite easily and there weren't too many scene changes, that sort of thing. That was my priority in actually designing it.
I see the Sound of Music as having 3 main areas. I see our Vaughan Trapp Villa as being our main stage area. We need to have the Abbey and we need to have a terrace. And the mountains came after that because I thought the audience need to see the mountains. They need to be able to visualise the mountains and they need to be a presence because the mountains are a very big part of the show. And just the fact that the Vaughan Trapps actually go off into the mountains. Maria comes from the mountains in the beginning and the Vaughan Trapps go to the mountains in the end. So we need the mountains. So Ljerka's idea was to have the flats on the stage right, with the mountains ever present through the whole show. I've seen other productions where the mountains have been off in the distance behind the set in the very background on the back flat, but to have them over there was a really nice feel. So that was what I said. I said the 3 main areas. Ljerka had worked on a show called Blackadder at Belmorris a few years ago where once again 3 main areas were used, so I knew it was possible in our space. So she worked on that premise and then went away and did some designs, came back, and what she showed me in her drawings initially was exactly what I wanted. That's why I chose those people, because I knew what they were capable of artistically, and I just knew whatever I wanted they would give me. And so she came up with the drawings and that was beautiful. What she showed me was just like, yes, that's exactly what I want. You've nailed it. And then she actually came back with a model, and the model was even more beautiful. And she said, look, we need someone to build this. She said, I can certainly have the ideas and I can dress it and do all that, but we need someone to build it. So we spoke to Chris about doing that, and then that little group sort of evolved from there.
Well, I was first approached to work on this set 12 months ago when I came to see Peter Pan. It was a bit of a headhunting night that night, because Pietro asked me to help with the set for Streetcar, and then 10 minutes later, I think Debbie and Ljerka asked me to help with the set, with this set.
There are little hiccups along the way, but I mean that's with any show that you do. Debbie knows however many she's done here, that those things you have to work through as they come up. You don't know what they're going to be. And the one thing we really wanted to do that Debbie understood with me, and one of the things that I like to do is I like to give everybody, you know, as much time as possible. That's why the set for me was do it as soon as possible, so that when problems did arise, we could take care of them really easily because we had so much time up our sleeves.
Her original sketch is different to the model, so the ideas kept changing. And even when we started building the set, we discovered that things just weren't going to work as envisaged with the model or the sketches, so little things have been changed so that they worked.
The reason why too for me that I said yes so straight away with Deb is because she's so passionate about this show, and everybody that she brought on board was pretty much exactly the same. So I knew that the whole crowd of people that are here really want to be here, you know, and that comes out in the performance, it comes out in what you see when you're backstage as well. Everybody is like a little family, so that's the really nice thing, and it's such a nice group, so they just give of themselves. They give 110%, so being part of that is fantastic.
You need someone older and wiser telling you what to do. I am 17, not 18. I'll take care of you.
Kristina is our stage manager and she's a delight. She has been an actor in previous shows. She first came to us as a 14-year-old and auditioned for one of our family shows way back then. And she has grown up on our stage and done some beautiful performances for us with different family shows and other shows. But Kristina, as I have said before, is one of those rare people in community theatre that is keen to learn all the jobs. She's not just wanting to be an actress, and she realises that not all roles are for her, so she's willing to then step out of the limelight and to actually work behind the scenes. And she's worked as director's assistant on a couple of shows for us. And she said to me when she knew I was doing sound and music, she said, look, I'd really love to be part of this, but I can't sing, so I can't audition. What do you want me to do? Could I be your assistant? What can I be? And I said, well, I need a stage manager.
I actually approached Debbie first because when I found out she was doing sound and music, I had to be involved because I love working with Deb so much. But I'm not a particularly good singer, so I said, well, I'll do anything basically, and she asked me to be stage manager.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Kristina is going to give you a door tutorial.
Some of you guys noticed the lights have been changed, so you have, when you're opening and closing the door, you need to twist the handle and keep it twisted as you pull it open, because otherwise it bangs into the flat and makes a horrible noise. So don't do it too quickly, actually take your time and do it properly.
Yeah, and she's really always open to ideas about how we're going to do all the set changes and having the boys dress up as household staff and all that sort of thing, and getting involved in all the production meetings and things like that was a whole new experience for me, and it was really enjoyable.
Now, to put a 19-year-old in charge of backstage is a huge ask, but I know what Kristina is capable of. I know how terrific and professional she is, and I had no hesitation. I thought, we haven't got a cast of 25 teenagers that are going to not respect her as a 19-year-old, but I knew we had a cast of 7 kids and a full cast of 30, and I thought, no, Kristina's going to be great. She's going to be really good with them, and she is. She's just wonderful. She's organised, she's efficient, she's a delight, she knows exactly what needs to be done. She does it, she shows initiative. And to have someone like that behind the scenes in charge is a joy, because you just know that you can relax and be out the front and know that everything is under control. She came to rehearsals as soon as she possibly could, started watching, started taking notes, knew what had to be where and when it has to be. And once it's there or once she's been told to do something once, she just knows exactly what she has to do and it's all done. And that's, for a director, peace of mind and comfort to know that everything behind the scenes is working smoothly.
Well, I have 3 backstage boys, and then there's Chris and Steve and Ross who sort of help out as well, and there's the whole cast and Alan and Stacey in the bio box, so we all sort of work together. I always love working with Deb, and every time you do it, it's like a whole new experience. It doesn't ever feel tired or exhausted because her passion is so unfailing and her support is always there, and her love and kindness, so it's always a new adventure and a new journey every time we work with her. It's a real honour and a privilege to be able to be part of any production she's involved in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the judges have reached their decision.
Alan has done the last couple of family shows with us, and he can create magical things with his lights. And when we finished doing Peter Pan last year, which was our family show, I asked Alan then, would you like to be on board next year? And he said absolutely. He knew we were doing the Sound of Music, and he said that would be a real challenge for him. And he's taken our lighting to another level for this show. There's sort of more special effects than we've ever had used here in any show. And it's just magical. I mean, I think the highlight for me, lighting-wise, is the scene with Mother Abbess and Maria when Mother Abbess sings Climb Every Mountain. The lighting and the special effects that Alan uses with his haze and just the beautiful lighting, it's just a poignant moment. And that's, lighting is a very subtle thing. I mean, I know Alan sees it as an important thing, which it is, and from his perspective, absolutely. But to the audience, it's a subtle thing. They just see very subtle lighting changes, and just the mood that he creates in all those beautiful songs, like the Captain and Maria's love song, and Liesl and Maria's reprise of 1617.
Lo and behold, you're someone's wife, and you belong with him.
I don't even think the audience realise they're being drawn into this beautiful lighting change, and suddenly when they said the lighting change in those scenes, they're actually in there with the characters. And that's Alan's magic. Alan is very, very clever at that. And it's just wonderful to watch him work. And he gets very excited about using his special effects, and that's a pleasure to watch and a pleasure to be part of as well. So we're really very lucky to have Alan and someone of his expertise doing the lighting for us and special effects. And he did sound effects too, and then beautifully operated by Stacey. But Alan had all the vision to put it all together.
Who wanted me on the telephone?
It was the post office. They've got a telegram for you. It will be delivered at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. That gives me 5 hours to be going.
With a scatterbrain boy delivering telegrams.
Well, that's one thing people are saying. If Germans took over Austria, there'd be efficiencies.
Don't let the cat and you say that. What when his wife was alive? Oh, I can't bear being whistled for. It's humiliating.
In the Imperial Navy, the person always whistled for us.
But I wasn't in the Imperial Navy.
You could have made a fortune.
The hills are alive with the sound of music, with songs they have sung for 1,000 years. The hills fill my heart with the sound of music. My heart wants to sing every song it hears.
I think the first thing I noticed about Debbie was, in the way that she directed, was that she was just absolutely alive with this passion and enthusiasm, and it just radiated off her. And it made me want to be the absolute best performer of Maria that I could be. I'd always, I'd watched The Sound of Music when I was little, and I just thought it was a wonderful musical, but I'd never really thought about it in the way that Debbie obviously had.
Where am I to go? There is a family of 7 children. 7 children? You like children, Maria. You're very good with them. But they're in the governess until September. September? Reverend Mother, that's Captain Vaughan Trapp expects you this afternoon. He's a fine man and a brave one. He was decorated by the Emperor for heroism in the Adriatic.
Debbie had such an insight into all the characters, and she was able to translate Maria for me, and it made me really get in touch with who Maria was. And actually I realised that myself as a person was a lot like Maria. It was wonderful to have Debbie to come in and say, that's good, but there's something else that I think you should think about. There's more going on here than just the words in the script. There's sort of the love she was missing out on when she was growing up. She was with an uncle who was actually quite abusive to her, and that kind of background to Maria, which no one really learns about in the movie. So it was good. Debbie did step in quite a bit to remind me of and teach me about these things about Maria, which was just wonderful. I've had short hair for a couple of years now. It used to be brown hair, and then I just decided a couple of years ago to go blonde, and it was the best decision I ever made because I had so much fun. Blondes do have more fun, and it was funny when I walked into the audition, no one at Beaumaris had seen me with blonde short hair, so I walked into the audition and apparently Debbie and Camilla and Danny and Rhonda just went, oh, it's alright, if we pick her we don't need to change her hair. So I didn't actually have to change anything. I just I have little sort of a fringe that kind of comes down here, and so I just put it behind my ears. That's all I really had to do, which was really good.
And you're Gretel? And you're 5 years old? My, you're practically a lady. Well, now I'm going to tell you all something. I've never been a governess before. How do I start?
You mean you've never been a governess?
No.
Well, the first thing you have to do is to tell Father to mind his own business.
Never come to dinner on time.
Never eat your soup quietly. And during dessert, always blow your nose. Don't believe a word they say for my Maria, because I like you. What is this?
Oh, that's my guitar.
What did you bring this for?
When we all sing together.
I think favourite things is definitely one of my favourites, because I get to be a little bit funny. You know, when I'm praying and I get to sort of say, oh, what's his name? Oh, God bless, what's his name? I get to sort of be a little bit funny there. But also the children come in sort of one or a couple at a time, and I get to have just a little moment with them all, and it feels really good. And like, we just adore each other off stage anyway. But I think that really shows in that scene, because they're all scared of the thunderstorm, and I'm there consoling them and comforting them.
Girls in white dresses, with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose with night lashes, simple white lips that melt into springs. These are the few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
Does it really work?
Of course, what things do you like?
Pussy willow.
Christmas.
Bunny rabbit.
No school.
Dinner kite. Telegram. Birthday present. Any present. Ladybug.
A birthday. Oh, Carol, sometimes. See how much fun it is.
Every morning small and bright, happy to meet. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, let's fly home and forever.
Our first read-through was out of the theatre in a garage, and that was the first time we sort of got to meet each other. In audition, I met Beck, who plays Maria, and thought this is a reason to do it, because she's such a talented person, and I could see how passionate Deb was about the whole thing. And so we started with the read-through and went from there, started to learn some of the songs, and eventually got into the theatre to start moving the whole piece around on the stage.
Well, why does he keep answering these phone calls from Berlin then?
Well, if they don't keep their promise, I want to have some friends among them.
Naturally.
Oh, you agree with me?
Well, look at it this way, Theobald. There was this man who was dying.
In the early days, Debbie spoke to both Beck and myself about some of the subtext and the history behind what brings these people to this particular role. So it's been, it's added a depth to the characters, I think all the characters, when they really understand where they come from and why they got to that particular spot.
Jen's another one behind the scenes who absolutely adore. As I said, she's just the most fabulous costume coordinator, but she's my rock. I feel very, very confident having her in any show I do because she's always there saying the right things just at the right time, and she just supports me no end, and I just love having her involvement.
From the first time I worked with Jen on Midsummer Night's Dream, her costume skills are amazing, but what is more amazing is the support this lady gives me. As I said, her presence here. Like, she only has to walk in the door and I feel uplifted, and she's positive and she's confident. When I'm ever doubting anything, I only have to talk to Jen about it. She just gives me the right words to push me forward. Jen, I just love you being here every night. The kids love you. The cast loves you. You're fabulous. Thank you so much. The shows before and the times do change, and we have had cast members who didn't think they were supposed to be here. Friday night is an 8 o'clock show. You need to be here by 7 o'clock. Saturday is a 5 o'clock show. You need to be here by 4 o'clock. Sunday is a 2 o'clock show. You need to all be here by 1 o'clock. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at opening night. Nothing quite like an opening night. For those of you who've never been on stage before, you are going to enjoy this very much. It's a real buzz about an opening night that we have no other night. It's a very special night. The last 5 months, we've been working very, very hard to get to this night and obviously the rest of our season. So, what we need is tonight, have a good time out there, but don't forget your energy, your focus. Remember who you are, everything we've taught you. Don't bring anything in new tonight, because it hasn't gone past us. Alright, so only what we've told you. Remember all the notes, the copious amounts of notes you've been given over the last 5 months? Put them all into place tonight. We have a full house tonight, they're going to love you. It's going to be a fantastic show. Last night, it was just...
Debbie's just a complete package in terms of a director. She's passionate, she's got the energy, she's not one to yell and scream, she's just always positive. She's always positive, and that is infectious with the cast and with the crew, so that they want to do their very best, not only for themselves but for her.
Well, you can't sit here from someone you're not heard long enough to know about them.
Don't care to hear.
I know you don't, but you've got to.
To my cast, I would like to say thank you so much for all the hard work and dedication and devotion you've given me, the rest of the team, and this show, because obviously so important what you do as a cast, and the audience just adore you, and I just love watching you every night perform. I've loved every moment we've rehearsed, and I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for being so fantastic and just the best cast we could have wished for.